Welcome into the Pickswise NFL Show. I'm delighted to be your host. I'm Rachael von Oranje. And real quick, before we jump in, I just want to remind you to please like and subscribe, whether you're watching on YouTube or listening on Spotify. We greatly appreciate it. Now, as always, I'm joined by my lovely co-host, Jeff Reinebold, the coach of the century. Jeff, how are you enjoying that Hawaii sunshine?
Man, it's so good to be back home, Rachael. I can't even tell you. But, hey, you know what? Don't tell them that. Don't tell Limps to like us and subscribe and all that. Tell them, come on, if they want to make money, they better listen to us because you are rolling, Rach. You are rolling with your prognostication.
You know your girl's on fire right now. I'm not going to lie. But you hear that laughter on the side. I'm so excited and so happy to be joined by radio host, former NFL quarterback, and most importantly, my dear friend, Sean Salisbury is joining us right here on the Pickswise NFL Show. Sean, thank you so much for coming on today.
Rach, anything for you. It's so great to be on with you. I love you. I wish Jeff, I was sitting next to you in Hawaii. So the hell with you and anything you're talking about today. We should be there. We need to do shows from there. Great to be with you too, brother Rach. Thank you for the intro. Honored to be on and honored to talk some football and some betting. You keep making that money for people. I'm going to be calling you, and I'm hoping I'll help in and make some money for them today too. So thanks for having me on. I'm honored.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Now, Sean is currently, he's working everywhere. This guy never takes a break. But the main thing, at least what I used to work with him, he does a radio show right here in Houston, Texas. So where better to start with the story of the week, the Houston Texans. Now, they fired head coach and general manager Bill O'Brien this week after an abysmal 0-4 start. Sean, Jeff, look, nobody wants to see a man lose his job. So I just want to be clear with the public. We are not dancing on this man's grave. However, a lot of stuff has come to light recently. Reports of Bill losing the locker room, a bad workplace culture. Some have even described him as a tyrant. Sean, I'll start with you. Was it the right time for the Texans to fire Bill O'Brien?
Yeah, Rachel and Jeff, I don't usually subscribe to interim coaches during a season because interim coaches end up getting fired too. God bless Romeo Crennel, but they're going to clean house, and we know that. And Bill O'Brien, listen, as just a football coach, winning 4 division titles, you think on the surface, he did a nice job. I mean, you'd say that, but do you just want to be the Cincinnati Bengals and get to the playoffs? There's another level. And Bill, I think he'd hit his head on the ceiling as far as the breakthrough and all the stuff that goes on. You know how that is. When somebody's out the door, we hear, well, is it tyrant? Well, he doesn't get along. And none of us will know until we talk to a player. Some like him, some don't. We knew the problem with DeAndre Hopkins. But when you're going to make trades, you're going to gut a franchise with draft picks, you better win. And had they been 4-0, we wouldn't be having this conversation. But they're not. And Bill's not exactly the easiest guy to deal with. And you're right. I don't like seeing anybody get fired, but that's why they make the big money. They get praised when they win, and they wear Super Bowl rings if they can. And then when this happens, you got to take a little bit of flack for it. And it was the right time, even though I don't like interim coaches taking over, because if you're going to lose the locker room that bad, guys, then we need to get a head start on starting to see what we're going to do next. And Bill will be fine. He's a good football coach. He's a hell of a good man. But when he and Jack, Easterby in the front office, the ironic thing is that Jack and him got rid of Brian Gaine. Now Bill thinks he's got the power in the organization. We never hear from Cal McNair. And then Jack Easterby. I asked Ian Rappaport today from the NFL Network. I said, did Jack Easterby stab Bill O'Brien in the back? And there was a pregnant pause and hesitation. He didn't say yes, but he sure as heck didn't say no. So to me, it was a power struggle. But when you're 0-4 and the optics are that bad, and this is a team that's been putrid, it had to happen, unfortunately. But the next guy's got to come in and win, and that's the price you pay, Jeff, to be a football coach in the NFL.
Yeah, the legendary Houston Oilers coach Bum Phillips said there's only 2 kind of coaches, them that's got fired and them that's going to get fired. I mean, that's part of life in the food chain when you're coaching at the professional level. We all know that. We all sign up for that. So that part you get. I think, Sean, and you know this from having played in the league and having been around the game since a little kid, their power isn't, and I think what happened in Houston, I watched that transition, and you see the kind of like the desire for all encompassing power, much like Belichick. And now remember, this is a Belichick, and he wanted to have it like Bill's got it in New England. Well, and that's a very rare situation where you can have a scenario like New England where the head coach has general manager power. He basically has all the power. And Bill wanted all the power. And then some of those decisions went sideways. And like you said, when you're just to move on from the greatest receiver that ever played in the franchise history and probably one of the top 3 or 4 in the league right now, you make that move, that highly publicized move. You go out and get Laramie Tunsil and gut your draft for the next couple of years, and those things don't work for you, you're going to pay the price.
Yeah, and Rachael, real quick about that. I'm not going to let players off the hook, though, either. And I'm with you, Jeff, 100%. Listen, it always starts. The coach at the top, that's why you're in position. But you've got to – great coaches do 2 things. Well, aside from win, you've put your players in the best position to succeed, and it didn't seem like whether it's the boredom of the offense or the obvious part of it. Secondly, is that you make players better. And, Rachael, you've heard me discuss this before, and I'm adamant about it. And I know sometimes we say, it's funny, if a guy makes a great catch, Bill never got credit for it. But if a guy drops the ball, it's Bill O'Brien's fault. No. Deshaun Watson's got to play better. He just does. He's got to get rid of the football. He's got to elevate their play. A little too casual, and I think he's one of the top 10 players, 12 players in the league. I love him. But you got to expect when they're running the football like you are against them and they're getting pumped and pushed around at the line of scrimmage, that's not just all the coach's fault. Now, he's got to fall on the sword. That's why. And there's still plenty of money coming in, so don't feel sorry for it that way. But the expectations of this team were higher, and now they're as bad as there is in the league at 0-4. So one thing, and another message about getting rid of a coach this early, Rach and Jeff, is that you send a message to your teammates if it's smart, to your players. Coaches first, you're next. There's a train. John Tierlink, the great John Tierlink, defensive line coach who coached some of the best pass rushers and Hall of Famers ever, used to say to guys on the field when we were in Minnesota, he said, oh, by the way, the train leaves at 3 o'clock, and if you don't get better, you're going to be on it. And if you don't get better, I'm going to be on it with you. So let's play better. So players need to also recognize you got the ball in your hand. You're the one tackling people in the open field. And if you don't, then guess what? There's only 2 or 3 sacred cows on that team, the left tackle, the quarterback, maybe Cunningham. Other than that, you're all on notice, and that's the message you should send.
Yeah, what do they say about the NFL? Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Jeff. Go ahead.
You know what's interesting? I think the growth that Josh Allen has shown in the last 3 years actually had a part of this, because you look at Deshaun Watson, and for all of his talent and all the incredible plays the guy can make as a quarterback, and you played the position as a quarterback, he hasn't grown. It's not like he's void of receivers around him. They've got some guys that can play football around him, and they're just not getting better. There's a lot of money invested in that team, and there's been no production. And when production doesn't meet output, somebody's going.
Yeah, I was going to say, NFL, what do they always say it stands for, guys? Not for long. Don't get comfortable. And I love seeing that Cal McNair finally steps up, does something to show that he actually wants to own this team and push it in the right direction, because I was honestly starting to question it, and so were other people. So, guys, let's get to the nitty-gritty, to the numbers. The Texans, they have to get a win. They have to put a win on the board this weekend, and what a better opportunity to do that than with the Jacksonville Jaguars, right? At least you'd think. Houston is favored right now on, this is Wednesday morning as we record this. They're favored by 6 points, and Houston will be at home in Energy Stadium. Hey, maybe they'll even open the roof. Stranger things have happened. So firstly, flat out, Sean, just flat out, not even about the spread, do you think the Texans win this game?
Yeah, matter of fact, if they don't win this game, they just need to, as an old buddy of mine used to say, if they're that bad, just take 2 weeks off and quit. Find something else to do. Okay, I mean, this reeks. I was on in San Francisco last week, and I said, be careful now of a team like the one they were 0-2-1, meaning Philadelphia. When you got a talented quarterback and desperate teams come to town, and Doug Peterson been a Super Bowl, be careful now, San Francisco, because with your injuries, if you take this for granted, you're going to get beat. Well, They gave up sacks, turned the ball over, and they get beat. Now, Jacksonville can be dangerous because Minshew's accurate. But when you're a desperate team like the Texans, you got a little bit of pride, and we know Watt does, and there's some guys in the locker room. It's not a matter of wanting to win. This has to be refusal to lose. This is a guarantee victory. When there's change and there's a new energy in the building, this is a friggin' no-brainer. Honestly, if they don't win this one, shut it all down, blame it on something, and get your ass out and let me own the team. They have to win this football game, and they will.
Jeff, do you see the Texans
when you
winning?
look at it, yeah, I agree with Sean in a lot of ways. And then, again, I think Romeo's persona will be good following Bill. I talked to an ex-Texans quarterback, and he told me some stories about things that went on in the locker room that just, I'm not going to go into them, but I'm going to tell you this. It was not a healthy environment. And now I think Romeo's kind of even keel approach. Anthony Weaver's got to get the defense fixed, and I think Romeo will take a hand in that. Deshaun just has to play the game at the level that he's able to play, and they will handle Jacksonville. And I agree with Sean. This change will be good for the Texans.
Yeah, and they do have to play Rachael physical. If they win the line of scrimmage, the rest will take care of itself. And there was the abrasiveness, and I think there's a trust factor. And Romeo's been in it long enough that, listen, this ain't his first rodeo. Let Weaver and let Tim Kelly do their job instead of be over the power-hungry stuff. He'd been there, done that, and let's take care of the business. They're going to win a football game.
Yeah, I like the idea of that. What a refreshing philosophy for the Houston Texans organization as a whole, right? Delegate responsibilities instead of trying to be a crazy person and do it all yourself, i.e. Bill O'Brien. So guys, real quick, both of you have the Texans winning by more than 6 points, it sounds like. Is that correct, Sean?
Yeah, I do. I think this is a double-digit victory. I think they'll hang around for a minute, and then the Texans, what happens is I'd like to see the Texans, Jeff, come out of the locker room a little faster. They're such a slow-starting team. It's maddening. It makes me my head want to friggin' explode. But they'll come out, they'll take care of their business, they'll make enough plays, and in the end, I think this is a double-digit victory. I think this is one of those where there's a little fire in their belly this week, and they want to send a message that we can win without our previous head coach. I think this is 10 points or more. I think this is an easy one this weekend.
I agree with you, and I think the players understand. And if they don't, JJ and the rest of the veterans will tell them, "Hey, now you're playing for your job. You're not playing for anybody. You're playing for your job." And the desperation and the energy that'll create, I think, will put the Texans over the top against the Jaguars.
Hey, and no matter how great any of these Houston Texans players think they are, the one thing we know is that Cal McNair will sign off on letting your butt get traded away for a bag of peanuts. Okay, just ask Hopkins. All right, guys. So, guys, we're gonna move on real quick to Sunday Night Football. Sean's old Minnesota Vikings, Skull. They are going to take on the Seattle Seahawks. The Seahawks are favored by a touchdown. Now, before we talk money lines and spreads and all that good stuff, Sean, do you agree with me? Is Russell Wilson your 2020 MVP?
Yeah, and the dude that's playing in Wisconsin ain't far behind, and Josh Allen's third. I'm going to tell you something. We got some guys at a level. When we're talking about this, and we're not even mentioning Mahomes or Lamar, that ought to tell you just how good the quarterbacks at the top are playing. Listen, and I know Allen most improved and is in the MVP talk. What he's done in his improvement, he's the most improved player in the league. Aaron Rodgers is Aaron Rodgers looks like he's got something on the world that we don't know, doesn't he? It's so smooth, and when you piss him off, he pays his coach back for drafting a quarterback in the first round. He pays the world back. And I love what he said on Barstool when they asked him, or not on Barstool, but Pat McAfee, when they asked him about down years. And he said, listen, my down years, basically, and I'm paraphrasing, are a lot of guys' career years. And he's right. It's actually frightening, frightening that he feels that way because he is that good. But yes, Rach, Russell Wilson is – their defense isn't playing well. And that's what we talk about, Jeff. You mentioned about Deshaun Watson. Think about this. Wilson elevates guys right now to a level that when he's got the ball in his hand, for my money, when there's 2 minutes in the game, I'll take him. Russell Wilson is the MVP if we're voting right now, and he's never received an MVP vote, which is criminal.
Insane.
He's going to win it this year as long as Rodgers doesn't keep doing what he's doing. What a great quarterback race we got. I got Wilson, though, right now.
You know what? He suffers from being in Seattle, I think. You know, he's not in a major market. He's on the West Coast, so all the votes on the East Coast, they don't see him as much. But how can you not have, you know, have love for the guy that just goes out there and balls like he does? Because,
unbelievable.
I mean, he's got a very average offensive line in front of him. He gets hit as much as any quarterback in the league. He's running for his life half the time. And now with Lockett and Metcalf, he's finally got some weapons outside. Olsen's a guy right now at this point in his career. So it's not like he's got the weapons that Patrick Mahomes has. So when I look at those two quarterbacks, you talk about Rodgers and you talk about Wilson, both of them are doing it without the great supporting cast. And I just love Russell Wilson's game. It's interesting when you hear him talk. If you shut your eyes, you can hear Pete Carroll. That's how symbiotic that relationship is between he and his head coach.
No doubt.
Yeah. So they're going to take on a team that, in my opinion, has greatly underachieved this year. I thought there was more talent on the roster than what reflects their record, but it looked, by all accounts, whenever you face the Texans, that's a get-right game for you, probably. The Vikings, they looked very healthy against the Houston Texans. Now, the Seahawks, as we discussed, they're favored by a touchdown. Sean, do the Seahawks win by 7 points at least?
I think here's why I say yes. And I know that when you pick favorites and you look through this stuff hard, I get a little nervous because the Vikings are coming off of momentum. Even though it was against the Texans, they did win on the road and they took care of their business. Now, listen, Cousins is capable of 300, and people are moving the ball in Seattle's defense. They got to step their game up. And at some point in time, I talked about pride with the Texans. Seattle's been built with Russ Wilson and defense. And the Bobby Wagners of the world, the locker room presence, they get to a point where they don't want to take it. I don't trust Kirk Cousins in late games. I just don't. So if it's close and Russ Wilson has the ball, yes, I'm going to take the Seahawks in this one. I'm a little nervous about 7, but I am going to take the Seahawks in this one. And you're going into even though the building's not full, they love their building. I'm taking Seattle. I think that Seattle is a far better offensive football team, although if Dalvin Cook and those receivers are going, they got weapons, Rachel. You're right. They've underachieved mightily. But Russ Wilson single-handedly is worth a touchdown in my mind, and I trust him late. You'll get some balls turned over by the Minnesota Vikings. I got this. This is within 10 points, but it's that 7 to 8 point win.
I think when you look at it and say, Minnesota, what's the challenge? Minnesota, the challenge is defense right now. And Andre Patterson, the defensive coordinator, I talked to Andre before the season started, and he said, hey, we know we're going to be young. He said, but we've been young before. But they haven't been this young in the secondary like they are right now. And so you look at the matchup of the two teams, we think of Seattle as a run-first football team, but that's the old Seattle. They've taken the training wheels off of Russell and really let him go. And so Seattle's strength attacks Minnesota's weakness. So for Minnesota to have a chance, we got to see a ton of Dalvin Cook. And again, I just don't think that – I'm not a Kirk Cousins fan per se. I agree with Sean, especially in big games or you need a drive at the end of the game. That's not the guy I'm going to go to. And you look at the receiving core. Thielen's a great receiver. They got nobody who can make a big play, nobody who can threaten you deep. And Kyle Rudolph, who I think is a talented tight end, has disappeared in the offense. So I think Seattle will win. It's in Seattle. I agree. 20,000 people, 10,000 people, it don't matter. Those 12s are crazy, and they love playing in that building. So
look for points to be scored. There'll be some points scored in this game.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with you. And it is kind of bizarre. We both have a familiarity with Gary Kubiak. It is so weird to see a Gary Kubiak offense that doesn't just make the tight end shine. But I digress. I think we all agree that the Seahawks will cover the 7 points. Now, real quick before we wrap up the segment, Sean, I know it's hella premature, but we love to do this type of thing in our industry, okay? Who is facing off with each other in the Super Bowl this year?
Well, for me, before we move on, I'm going to tell you, don't let Brady get to January feeling good. I'm just warning people about counting them out. If I was picking like we are today, if the Kansas City Chiefs played 100% and everybody else plays at 100%, you're not beating them. I think the Saints are a little overrated. I'm going to go with the Chiefs. They got the best quarterback, the best play caller, and their defense is better this year. They're getting more physical. And in the NFC today, if they get healthy at the wide receiver position, man, and Aaron Rodgers keeps doing this, you got to like Green Bay. At the beginning of the year, I picked Tampa and Kansas City, and I'm not backing off it. I think the Tampa Bay Buccaneers can roll in January, and Tom Brady will be hit. It's an outside-the-box thinking. I'm going to go with Brady's experience at 43 years old to get to the Super Bowl.
Jeff, who do you think?
You know what? Before this season, I wouldn't have said this. I would have said, I like New Orleans. I like Tampa. I think if Green Bay can get home field advantage in the playoffs, even if there's nobody in the stands, just that weather factor that they're used to playing. If Devontae Adams comes, look at what he's doing with what he's got.
Scary.
And I mean, it is incredible. They're out there with 3 running backs out there. They got Aaron out running fade routes against cover 2, and Aaron sticks it on his back shoulder. And you look at it and just go, man, this is unbelievable. And they're a better defense than they've been in years in Green Bay. Maybe better than some of the Green Bay Super Bowl teams' defense. So I really think if they get healthy, watch out. If they get advantage. If they don't get the home.
I may be able to catch 60 balls with the way Rodgers is playing. You're right, Jay. It's phenomenal. If he plays like this all year long, they will be. They're going to be hard to beat, and they'll be playing in Tampa. I'm just counting on the fact that maybe somewhere along the line, Brady, they rear their head and do it. But that shootout would be fun to watch.
Yeah, and again, I think a lot of it has to do with can Tom sustain his play over. Again, we're talking about a guy that's in his 40s. You're talking about a long string of weeks to have to play at a high level. So I'm watching Aaron Rodgers the other night, Sean, and I'm thinking to myself, he is like the cat that knows everything that's going on, and he's just playing with all the other.
Unbelievable.
The other 21 guys on the field are in his world, and he's just orchestrating.
No doubt.
Y'all are way too high on the Aaron Rodgers hype train, okay? Just because he looked like God against my Falcons secondary, okay? Everybody looks amazing against my Falcons.
Rachel, I'd have been in the Hall of Fame if I played Atlanta every week. Good gracious.
I know.
And I can't. I'm average.
I agree. I don't agree that you're average, but I agree that we'd all be in the Hall of Fame playing against that terrible trash secondary. It's going to be Seahawks Chiefs, but I digress. Okay, guys. Thank you so much for this. That wraps up this segment. And everybody, I want to know what you have to think. So let us know in the comments down below what you think about Sean's take on the Texans, about Jeff's take on Aaron Rodgers, and if you think we're crazy or not. That wraps this part up. All right, guys, moving on from our individual games, it's time to build our Pickswise Parlay of this weekend's games. And it's basically one pick, one solid for sure winner between all 3 of us, and you guys can build a parlay with it and win some money. All right, I'm going to start us off with my pick of this is going to be, I'm taking the Buccaneers over the Chicago Bears. They're going to Chicago to play Nick Foles, and Tom Brady ain't forgot what happened in the Super Bowl. And I just don't believe in Nick Foles at all or the Bears. And so this is just really easy for me. I think the Buccaneers cover 3.5 is what they're favored by. And obviously take a money line. And yeah, there you go. That's my pick. Sean, what's your pick?
Well, and I like that, Rachel. And Tom Brady keeps score. We well know that. And Nick Foles outside of Philadelphia hasn't exactly been a great starter. I love your pick. I'm going to go with one. Some may think I'm nuts, but mark this down and put a check mark and a star by it. The Cowboys are 9.5-point favorites over the Giants. Pardon my friend, they are kicking their rear end 6 ways to Sunday because their defense has played horribly. They're going to turn on the pass rush this week. I guarantee they're feeling like I told you. I like teams that got great quarterbacks and Dak can play. His numbers are like Xbox. The problem is at the end of a game, his defense can't stop anybody, so you throw the controller against the wall. Dak Prescott's going to throw a party on the Giants. Their defense is finally going to step up. 9.5-point favorites. This won't be close. The Cowboys destroy the Giants to finally send a message, and then they may be tied for first place with the Philadelphia Eagles, or a 1-2-1, right, or a half game out. So it's crazy. Cowboys finally get their second win, and they'll be in first place by a half game. They're going to win this football game, and in a putrid division, they destroy the Giants.
You, honest to God, believe that defense is going to stop somebody?
Do you know who they're playing, Jeff? Jeff, did you see who they're playing? The Giants can't. The Giants can't run their own nose. They ain't winning. They're not getting close. By halftime, this thing will be over. Dak may be player of the week. Okay, so There you have it.
Well, you better put that down, Rach.
No, it's lock it in. It's going on the play.
You're talking.
I don't know if I agree with it, but it's getting written down. It's on the record. Who's yours, Jeff?
I'm going to tell you what. I don't know much, but I know a couple things. Rookie quarterbacks, young quarterbacks, they don't beat Bill Belichick ever. Now, Rypien's a nice story, right? Undrafted free agent out of Boise State, comes in and he outplays Sam Darnold in his first start, yada, yada, yada. You don't beat the man in the hood with rookie quarterbacks, especially undrafted free agents. Secondly, I know Stephon Gilmore got COVID. If this game goes, then we don't have an explosion in the Patriot locker room. Denver is not good enough to beat New England. New England doesn't lose 2 weeks in a row. You look at it historically, and you got to play what you see, right? They don't lose 2 in a row, and they don't lose to rookie quarterbacks. So I don't know about the health of the quarterback. I don't know if Newton's going to play. I know Gilmore's probably going to be out. But unless there is a full-blown coronavirus bloom in the New England locker room, they will beat Denver.
And there actually might be. We don't really know. This is a crazy season. It's the season of the unknown. But maybe Bill Belichick can get out there and throw the ball first sit him if he gets to slacken. So just to wrap that up, I chose the Buccaneers to cover 3.5 over the Chicago Bears. Sean has the Dallas Cowboys slamming the New York Giants. I mean, nobody has more faith in the Dallas Cowboys this week than Sean Salisbury. Book it.
Right.
Dallas Cowboys, 9.5. He says it's over at halftime. And then Jeff has the coronavirus team with no quarterback and the defensive player of the year missing with COVID, beating another team that is severely injured in the Denver Broncos. Guys, I love it. This is the ballsiest parlay we've ever had on this show, but this is what we're here for, guys. I love it. Guys, let us know in the comments below what you think about that. All right, everybody. Now it's time for our Pickswise Underdog of the Week, and it is just what it sounds like. We're going to tell you the underdog, whether it's money line or spread, whatever it is, that we are guaranteeing you will win or at least beat the spread. All right, I'm going to get us started off with the Chargers. They're going to face the New Orleans Saints in New Orleans. And I'm sorry, but the New Orleans Saints just aren't as good as everybody in the world seemed to prep them up to be. The spread is the Chargers are 7.5-point dogs. And they might not win the game, but I'm telling you, they're not going down by 7.5 points. They have a good defense. Herbert looks to be like he was a really good choice and kind of shut me up, made me eat some crow. And I just think that the Chargers, they got something good going over there, and they're going to build upon it. I have the Chargers covering the spread. Sean, who you got?
Well, first of all, I'm not losing any of my picks this week. I'm telling you right now. The Texans are a lock.
Here we go.
The Texans are a lock. The Cowboys are going to kick the Giants' ass. And I got mine now. My dog, the Indianapolis Colts. Now their defense is filthy. They're going on the road to play a playoff team in the Cleveland Browns for the first time since 1820. The Cleveland Browns are going to make the playoffs. Mayfield's confident. They're running the football. Kareem Hunt, even if Nick Chubb doesn't go 100%, they've got weapons on the outside. And Kevin Stefanski's got them under control where they're playing more than they're talking. And if you take Phillip Rivers off his mark, as much as I love and respect him, he can't make a play if he doesn't get to set his feet and deliver it. Listen, take the money line. Screw the point spread. The Cleveland Browns are winning the game straight up in Cleveland, and they are another step closer to being the final team that's getting in the playoffs 3 teams from the AFC North are going to the playoffs. And about, a year and a half from now, Joe Burrow, he's going to have Cincinnati back on track because that guy's a superstar in the making. Baker Mayfield, Cleveland, win at home. Dog pound goes crazy. And the Indianapolis Colts are fighting and scratching with the Tennessee Titans to stay in the race. They win because of offense, and their defense gets after Rivers. Browns win straight up in Cleveland.
Well, there's a thing called CTE, and I'm going to tell you something. Sean Salisbury, I've been knowing you since you were fighting on at USC. Then
forever, brother. We've been talking forever.
And then you go to Minnesota. And I'm going to tell you something. Take that as headphones and loosen them up because they're squeezing the brain to your head, bro. To your head. Watch out now. The Giants, 9.5, and that spread's going to grow. So let it grow. Let it grow. Let it get around 11.5 by the time game comes. And take the Giants.
Yeah, I picked them at 9.5, right. Though, not 12.
But Cowboys defense, in all the football you've seen, have you ever seen a worse defense than the Cowboys got right now? No.
Yeah, Houston.
Bad.
The Houston Texans. You get a load of this, though.
Brother.
Between the Texans and the Cowboys, Jeff, they've given up in those 8 games, those 2 teams combined, have given up 272 points. It stops this week, buddy, for both teams. For both teams.
It stops. If they can hold them, I mean, as bad as the Giants are, and the Giants are bad on offense. They're beat up and they're bad. But Joe Judge has them playing hard. You saw that last week in
moral victory. Right? Save it. Save the playing hard
But I'm not
crap.
talking about, bro, we're not talking about winning the game. We're talking about the spread, my brother, the spread. So what I'm saying is let that thing grow. Let it grow. You got to pet it a little bit. Let it get a little bigger. And then by Friday, say, go in there and put your money on the Giants.
If the line keeps going up, that tells me the closer to the game I get that the smart people are saying 9.5, put your money on the Cowboys.
No. That's the crazy people that say, oh, my God, they can't do. Oh,
no, I don't care if they get it up to 12. They get it up to 12, and I'm still. I'll tell you one last thing. You're in Hawaii right?
Would you take 16? Would you take 16?
I bet this at 9.5, so watch your mouth. Okay, you're in Hawaii, right? You're in Hawaii, right? You talked about the point spread growing. Well, there's a lot of stuff that grows good in Hawaii. Quit smoking that crap there, brother, because the Giants got no shot.
Oh, my goodness. 2020 is wild. I have 2 ex-professional athletes, current coaches, very smart, intelligent football minds, and they are putting their names on the line for the Dallas Cowboys and the New York Giants. What kind of world do we live in? Coronavirus.
Cash, homie.
Coronavirus.
Scared money don't make money.
That's what I heard.
That's why I say scared. If I was scared, I'd buy another dog. I ain't scared. Let's go, Cowboys.
Call the cops. Call the cops, Sean Salisbury.
If you're scared, go to church. Guys,
That's
this has been so much fun having you on the show, Sean. I love having you on the show, and the chemistry here was great, and I miss you so much, man. Thank you so much for coming on, Sean.
Rach, I love you. I miss you. We're right in town. Let's get together. Jeff, we see each other maybe once a year at a Super Bowl or something. I love you, my man. It's great to see you again.
Same. It's great to see you, and you keep doing what you're doing, man. I love it.
Appreciate it. Thanks, fellas and ladies. Thank you. And to Ben for having me on. Thank you.
All right, Jeff. That was a lot of fun. Let's head straight into Sunday to talk about the matchup between the Eagles and the Steelers. Good old Pennsylvania matchup over there. We're not going to talk about the Titans-Bills much here because we don't really know if they're going to play. Coronavirus is making its name known. Double whammy. So let me go ahead and introduce the line. Eagles-Steelers. The Steelers are favored by a touchdown right now, and the over-under set at 45. Now, the Steelers, they come off back that enforced bye week that they were going to play the Titans. But before that, they were playing really, really good football. I mean, like I said, they're undefeated. Now, the Eagles, they shocked the nation. I don't know if they shocked the nation, but they shocked the nation. Carson Wentz. Yeah, Carson Wentz. It's amazing. Carson Wentz outperformed Nick Mullins. It's crazy that is shocking the nation. But they got it done on Sunday night, and they are now somehow sitting atop the NFC East division. It's a weird 2020 as well. Jeff, from a coaching standpoint, Does a bye week stop any of the Steelers' momentum, or do you think that was good for them?
No, I think it was really good for them. Number one, they're going to heal up, right? Now we're into the first month of the season, and with no training camp, people are nicked up. We see all the injury reports from around the league. So the Steelers have had a week to heal. They've had a week to work. Again, I think it's a huge advantage to have a practice week. Ben was just getting the rust off them. I tell you what, I like the Steelers like crazy in this game, and I tell you why. Because you look at the fact that the Eagles beat a Nick Mullins quarterback team, exactly what you said, Rachel, and Alex Singleton, a linebacker, has to pick a ball off and get a pick six in order for them to get enough points to beat a backup. Now you're going to play Pittsburgh, who's got weapons all over the field, and you've got Big Ben, an offensive line, and a nasty, nasty defense. If Carson Wentz thinks he's going to be on his back in this one, so I'm going to take Pittsburgh all the way.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. The Steelers have one of the best pass rushes in the game, one of the best defenses in the game. I fear for Carson Wentz's life in this game, and I wouldn't be surprised if the Steelers come out the gun just hot, and before you know it, you have a 27-3 type score. Maybe we see a backup quarterback, you know who I'm talking about, coming in this game. I'm not sure. I don't think that the Eagles stand a chance. So I think we're both taking the Steelers to win by at least 7.
Yep.
Yeah. And what do you think about the point total of 45?
I don't think the Eagles are going to score. I mean, they may score a touchdown or two, but I can't see them doing more than that. I would stay away from that over and under. I'd take the Steelers points and to leave it at that.
Yeah, I think you could maybe go under, but I agree with Jeff. Stay away from the point total on that one. It's bizarre, but just go with the money line and the spread. In fact, you can buy points on that one if you want to. I think Jeff will agree with me on that. All right, at 4:25 Eastern time, we will see who would have known beginning of the season, this would be a fire matchup. We have the 3-1 Browns and the 3-1 Colts coming off the back of very impressive wins. Now let's talk about the line before we get into this. It's pretty much opened up as a pick 'em. The Colts are favored by 1.5 points, and the point total is set at 47.5. Would imagine the line change has something to do with Nick Chubb going on IR. Terrible, terrible, man. That guy's on fire. Now let's talk about the Browns rolling into Dallas. They blew out the Cowboys. Odell is back. At least that's what I'm told. He had a fantastic game. It was just prime time out there. 3 touchdowns, 160-plus yards, 49 points scored against that lackluster Cowboys defense. Wow. And the Colts, well, they didn't score as many points as the Browns, but they managed the game well enough to beat the Bears 19-11 in Chicago. Now, some betting stats. The under has landed in the last 3 Colts games, and the totals were 43, 44, and 49. So they weren't really exactly high lines, but the under has landed in all of them. Jeff, this should be a pretty good matchup, I think. 2 teams, solid defenses, 3 straight wins, very mouthy, sassy quarterbacks, if you will. Who's winning here?
Well, you know what, Rachel? This is because I don't trust either of these quarterbacks. I don't trust Phillip to not throw an interception at a key point in the game, and I don't trust Baker Mayfield, to put back-to-back good games together. I think Stefanski's done a great job of managing him and getting him on the run, getting him out of the pocket where he's much better. But now all that tape's out there now. We've seen that for 2 weeks. That's the blueprint, and you can bet that Matt Eberflus, the defensive coordinator from Indianapolis, will hang play. Indianapolis got a nasty defense. I think the thing that you should do here is go the under. It's basically a pick 'em game at 1, but I would take the under because I think both these teams can play a little defense, and I really don't know about Indianapolis's ability to score more than 28 points in this game. So I think the under has a better chance. It's a pick 'em game, and again, I know 3-1, but to me, it's kind of a soft 3-1. By all rights, Indianapolis should be 4-0. The opening week, they go down to Jacksonville, and they've read their press clipping season, and they basically sleptwalked through that game and got beat late by Minshew. So if you were pressing me to take a team, I'd take Indianapolis. but I'd look at the under rather, excuse me.
Yeah, I'm right there with you on the under. And who did you say that you picked to win?
I would take Indianapolis in the under.
Indianapolis, because you're going with the veteran quarterback. I think that the Colts roster is still a little bit better. It's one of my favorite rosters outside of the quarterback position. I'm sorry, Phillip Rivers, but he's old and he's not mobile, which I think the NFL is just trending in that direction. You need to have a little bit more mobility than he has. I think that the Browns win this game. I think Odell Beckham, it appears to me as though he is kind of a momentum guy, and once he gets hot, you got to roll with him. Both teams are down to their backup running backs, and I say that Jonathan Taylor, he's not a backup, and he's going to be a star in this league. But Marlon Mack was injured, and now you lose Nick Chubb, but they can still run the ball. I think that the Browns win. I think they're on a high, and it's just one of those momentum things. And I'm going to go with you on the under. So Jeff has the Colts winning. I have the Browns covering 2.5, and we both say take the under. All right, Jeff, real quick, we're going to start off talking about Thursday night football, and then we're going to go into Monday night football before we wrap this whole thing up. Thursday night first, the Buccaneers, they're going to Chicago to Soldier Field to play the Bears. The Bucs are favored by 5.5, and the point total is set at 44.5. Now, the Bucs, seems like they got it going. They looked a little scary last week versus the Chargers, but they came out on top 38-31. Tom Brady threw 5 touchdown passes. He brought the team back just kind of like he did against my Falcons, Super Bowl 51. Tom Brady ain't missing a step, okay? They are getting it together in Tampa Bay despite injury. The Bears, on the other hand, Nick Foles, of course he looks good against my Falcons, but they couldn't beat the Colts at home last week. That was one of my locks of the week, actually. I don't trust in Nick Foles at all. Now, the Bucs, they have shown some inconsistency, some weaknesses here and there, but overall they're 3-1. I think they're going to be 4-1 after this matchup. What do you see? Do they cover 5.5? Do they win? And what do you think about the point total, 44.5?
I really think that the Bucs are getting better every week. Brady's more comfortable with the people around him. I think Bruce is now kind of like reached halfway. They're kind of 50-50 now on. It's really it's a collaboration on offense now. You see a lot of the things that Tom likes that he did in New England in that offense now. They have talented people all around. And the thing that nobody talks about, and it's crazy, but Todd Bowles has that defense playing extremely well. They will get after the quarterback, and they can, they got people all across that defense that can rush the passer. Foles is, when you look at Foles under pressure, when he starts getting hit around, that's when he doesn't play well. So I think Tampa is prime right now. They're playing good football right now. They'll go into Chicago. And the Bears right now, I tell you, Rachel, the Bears defense has not come. Everybody's talking about the great Bears defense prior to the season. They haven't impressed me at all. I think Tampa's got a far better defense. Tampa's got a better quarterback. Tampa's got better receivers. Tampa's got better running backs. I just don't see where the Bears have an edge in this, so I'm taking Tampa.
Yeah, I agree with everything you just said. And all that combined with, I think you, me, and Sean Salisbury in the previous segment agreed, Tom Brady does take things personally. And I think Bruce Arians, he fuels that fire. I think he's just as spicy and as saucy as Brady is. I think you're kidding yourself if you don't think Tom Brady's human, and if he doesn't remember that Super Bowl, and if he doesn't want to just show how much better he is than Nick Foles. Okay, we're going to roll right into Monday night. The Chargers are going to New Orleans to play the Saints. The Saints are favored at 7.5, and the point total is 52 as of today, which I said earlier. We film on Wednesdays. It's another case of experience versus rookie here, Jeff. And just when Justin Herbert thought he had seen the last of the legendary quarterbacks whenever he faced off against Tom Brady, here he comes up against Drew Brees. Mind you, it's not Drew Brees of old, but it's still Drew Brees. Austin Eckler, he's out for a month. That's a huge blow for the Chargers. The Saints favored by just over a touchdown here. Jeff, what's your view?
I think it's going to be a close game. I talked to one of the Charger players this week just because I wanted to get a feel for where their mindset was, Rachel, because this is a team that had Kansas City on the ropes and couldn't close. They get a punt blocked and they lose the football game. They had a chance last week. They should have beaten the Bucs. Winning is kind of habit, and so is losing. And I just wanted to get a feel for the psyche of the team. But he said they're all good. He said that Coach Lynn's done a great job of keeping focused. But again, even though New Orleans defense has underperformed, I just can't see him going down there without Eckler. And I think it's a lot of stuff on Herbert's plate. They can rush the passer. That's one thing New Orleans can do. They have better personnel than they played on defense. That against a young quarterback, Dennis Allen will have a good scheme for him, and I'm going to take the Saints at home.
Are you taking the Saints? I'm not taking the Chargers to win this game, but I do take them to cover. I just think that Anthony Lynn is getting the most out of Herbert, and he's making me eat words, making me look like a liar. I didn't expect Herbert to look this good coming out the gate, but he looks fantastic, and I think that the kid is on a roll. And I don't think, like I said, they're not going to win this game, but I do think that they cover 7.5. The Saints have just underperformed. I just can't find a reason to think that they're going to just blow them out by over a touchdown. So yeah, I'm going with the Chargers to cover. Now, what do you think really quick about the point total that was 52? That seems a little high to me. What do you think?
I think it's too high. I take the under, and I take the game as a money line game. I agree with you.
Yeah.
7.5 to me is too much right for that New Orleans offense that really hasn't, when they lost Thomas, they really have struggled to have any kind of consistency in the passing game. And San Diego's got a good defense.
Yeah, they have a great defense. And let's not forget, they held the Chiefs, I think it was to 21. But I think in overtime, at the end of regulation, I believe it was 19-19. I have a bad memory, but if you can hold the Chiefs to 21, that says a lot to me. So by that account, I think that it is high. I would definitely take the under, and there you go. Jeff, wonderful show today. Again, so thankful and happy to be joined by my good friend and mentor, the Sean Salisbury. Jeff, thank you so much. You were wonderful as always. It's what we expect now from you, so nothing less than that. Thank you, everybody, the viewer. We appreciate you tuning in to the Pickswise NFL Show Week 5 preview, and we'll be back next week to preview Week 6 of the NFL season, and we hope that we made you some money. We hope that we're right about our picks, and we can brag about it next week. Best of luck with your bets, everybody, and remember, please gamble responsibly.